The Civil Rights Summit, hosted by the LBJ Presidential Library, is now fully underway, with President Obama and 3 former U.S. presidents all in town to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the passage of the 1964 Civil Rights Act. The Civil Rights Act was a landmark piece of legislation that ended racial segregation in schools, the workplace, and other public accommodations. The act came as the civil rights movement was reaching its peak. For years prior to the passage of the act, mass protests took place across the South, and college campuses nationwide, including UT, became battlegrounds for civil rights issues. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. himself came to UT in March of 1962 to deliver a speech. Back in Washington, it was President John F. Kennedy who made the initial push to pass new civil rights legislation to stop institutional segregation. However, the bill became stuck in limbo when, in November of 1963, the chairman of the House Rules Committee, Howard W. Smith, a Democrat from Virginia and hardline segregationist, refused to release the bill from committee. Following the assassination of President Kennedy, the newly sworn-in President Lyndon Johnson made a push to pass the Civil Rights Act in Kennedy's memory. What followed was a hard-fought battle over the bill in both the House and Senate, where it faced a 54-day filibuster by Southern senators. Historians dispute to what extent Johnson was directly involved in the legislation battle, with some saying he would directly press congressmen on the issue, sometimes pulling them up by their lapels, while other historians say Johnson took on more of a supportive role in the legislative process, with others like Hubert Humphrey leading in Congress. Either way, it was LBJ's powerful speeches on civil rights that helped win over many previously indifferent Americans, and his work with civil rights leaders, including Dr. King, furthered the cultural tide in favor of civil rights. The act was finally signed into law by President Johnson on July 2, 1964. 50 years later, the effects of the Civil Rights Act are felt in every aspect of American life. At a civil rights symposium just before his death in 1972, President Johnson had this to say, and his words reflect much of the sentiment of the Civil Rights Summit and the ongoing civil rights issues we face today.
We have proved that great progress is possible. We know how much still remains to be done. And if our efforts continue, and if our will is strong, and if our hearts are right, and if courage remains our constant companion, then, my fellow Americans, I am confident we shall overcome.